Hi everyone, welcome to Allies or Enemies. I'm Jess.
And I'm Shawn.
And today we're going to be covering our top 100 games.
We're excited to be doing this. We wanted to do a top 100 for a little while, but we weren't jazzed to be on camera, honestly, so this is a little bit scary for us. But we thought as soon as we get to 1,000 subscribers, we have to take the plunge, we have to get on camera, and this is how we're doing it. And so this is going to be the beginning of our top 100 list. We're not sure how many we're going to get through in this one. It's either going to be 10 or 20, but there's going to be a series of these that's going to show our top 100 games.
And it's not the top 100 games that are out there. These are just the 100 games that we're enjoying playing right now, and we'll have some overlap and some differences.
But it's really important to note this is not, we're not saying these are the best 100 games. These are just at this current period of time, and with the games that we have currently played, our, as of today, top 100. Honestly, in a week, this is almost certainly going to be a different list, but this is the, like, a little snapshot time of what we think is top 100. So take from that as you will. And
do please join us as well. Feel free to share your list as we go through. We would love to see it.
Yeah, that'd be great. And let's get rolling. So we're going to roll some dice, and high roll gets to choose. So like football rules, you can choose if you're punting or receiving.
Okay.
I don't know what those would mean though. So let's just say we choose if we go first or second.
Okay. All right. I got a 1. You got a 6.
I got a 6. All right. I am going to choose to go second.
I thought you might.
Yeah, I am. So you're going to kick us off with number 100.
My number 100 is the game Galaxy Trekker. It's tile placement, so you're working on building your individual ship, and then a lot of things get thrown at it, and it may make it through or may not. And I've always enjoyed playing it. We play it just as 2, and so we are able usually to finish our ship. I think if we played with more, you might end up with like a half-completed one.
Yeah, because it's you've got all the bits in the middle. I like games that are like simultaneous action because I'm not very patient. So you're all grabbing stuff from the middle. So yeah, because with 4 you use, I think, the same number.
Yeah.
So people would be taking their parts and putting their ship together.
And someone is always going to be flipping that timer before you're ready. But we're pretty patient with that.
Yeah, it's fun because you're like almost guaranteed to fail. Like your ship gets torn apart, so not everyone likes it.
It can be frustrating, but that's part of the game.
Cool. My number 100 is a pretty new one to us. I'm looking up because it's up in the top. I don't think it's in the shot. But it's Chocolate Factory. And this is at 100 because we've only played it like 4 times. So I wasn't sure if I should even put it on the list yet. It very well might move way up next year, or it might fall right off the list. I don't know yet, but it's a really pretty game. And you've got, you got a chocolate factory, like it says in the name, and you're putting stuff on like your conveyor belt, and it's this like real thinky game where you got to add bits each time to your factory and what they do. And so you're like making nicer chocolates and trying to fill these orders. And it kind of builds as it goes, and you really got to think like 3 turns ahead. So it's really pretty and it's really thinky, and it's 2 things I like in games, and it's simultaneous. Yeah, you're doing everything at once, so you're kind of always active, which I like as well. But it is new to us. We just picked it up like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it's great though.
Yeah, it is.
My number 99 is the game Dixit. It is a beautiful game. It's all of these cards that have art on it. When it's your turn to be the storyteller, you have to say a phrase, and then everybody has to put a card down that they think matches that card. I love it. It made the top 100 because it's perfect for non-gamers. I've played it with my family, with my office mates. Everybody really enjoys it. It's probably where it is just because it's 3 or more players, so we usually play 2, so we just haven't had the chance to play it that much recently, but it's a fantastic game.
Yeah, I used to play it a lot back in Canada with like groups. You can play it with like 12 people, I think.
Yeah, if you have the Odyssey one.
Yeah, and you can play it with brand new players. Like, this is a game that takes 3 minutes to explain. And we played it with your family. Your family is not board gamers, and they were like, let's do another round. Like, one more. Which speaks highly. And it's just so pretty.
It's very pretty.
I like always lose.
Yeah.
And I don't even care.
You can't be competitive about this one, no.
Yeah, it's just really lovely to look at. My number 99 is Santorini. And Santorini is very different than Dixit. Santorini is strictly 2-player. Actually, there is a 3-player, but I've never tried it and I don't hear great things about it. I think it would throw off the balance. It works. It's really good at 2 players. And it's like an abstract game, and you're using the powers of different Greek gods, and you have to build up these buildings, and it looks lovely on the table because everything's 3D, and you've got a 3D map, and you've got 3D buildings that you're building up, and there are these Greek buildings because it's based on an actual place called Santorini, which I didn't know actually till just recently. And it's pretty cutthroat. Just getting your dude up to the top of the building before someone else domes the top of that building. And that's kind of all there is to it, but there's like a lot more to it when you add in the asymmetrical god powers and just everything else that goes into it. But it's one that you can really play like 3 or 4 back to back because it's pretty quick, and it's one that you get beat and you're like, I could totally beat you if I just had a better god or if I just did this.
It feels a little bit like chess in terms of that visualizing. Yeah. If I go here, then you'll go there, then I can go here. So yeah, definitely an abstract game, but it's great.
Yeah, it's really like a thinking 2-3 turns ahead-ish kind of game. I don't do a lot. I kind of read and react more than think ahead.
Yeah.
So you do win that one quite a lot, but I like it a lot.
98.
All right, my number 98 is Architects of the West Kingdom. So this is one of the West Kingdom series. It's a worker placement game, but it's fantastic because once you place a worker out, the next time you place a worker in that same spot, you get more of that resource or more of that thing. So it's a little bit different than some other worker placements. We've only played it at 2, which I hear maybe not be the best player count for this one. So it made the top 100 because I really enjoy this game, but that's maybe why it's not quite as high.
Yeah, everyone says don't play it at 2.
We introduced the bot, and that helps a bit.
It does. Yeah. And we play it as part of the Rune Saga. I think it's Rune Saga.
Tome Saga, maybe?
Tome Saga, yeah. It's Tome Saga for West Kingdom, Rune for North. But and that helps as like part of when you're playing the 3 back-to-back. I think it works better for 2. And the bot helps a lot. The bot that comes... I think does it come with Tome Saga, the bot? Or is
I think it might.
Okay, but wherever the bot comes from, it works okay though with 2. Like we still have fun with it.
That's why it's in my top 100. It's still a fun game.
Yeah, and it looks cool. I like all of those
West Kingdom series.
West Kingdom games. Yeah, I think we'll hear more of those. My number 98 is an old. I think the oldest on my list. I think pretty easily, but Survive, Escape from Atlantis, and this was one of the early-ish ones that got me into, slightly heavier. I know now I would not look at this as a heavy game, but when I first played it, I was like, oh, guys, you got to check out this weird game. It's real cool. It's got wooden pieces, and there's no dice, and it was like one of those it was really one of my big gateway games. And I love it because it's so mean, because if you haven't played it, you've got the island in the middle, Atlantis, and then you got to get your dudes off the island onto the kind of little safe islands because your island's sinking. So each turn you're pulling something out, but really you want to pull out the one under someone so they fall into the ocean. And then you're trying to eat each other with sharks and smash boats with whales. And
you love just being a trickster in it. You love like having somebody jump on your boat and then your people on that boat aren't worth that much, so you're perfectly fine having like a whale smash that boat and then a shark come and eat a person that jumped on board.
I love doing just like just driving into a whale and just destroy your own boat, and that's fine. I'm taking everyone with me. It's so mean, but knowing it's their feelings hurt because it's so obviously mean and it's so like fun mean.
Yeah.
It's one that got me into the hobby, and I still really, really like it.
97.
My number 97 is Fireball Island.
Almost a match so early. But no cigar.
No, this one is it looks amazing. It's a huge plastic thing. You play cards to move your people, and you're trying to collect treasures and then escape the island before all of the lava hits you. You get to take other people's treasure if you knock them with marbles, so you get to try and do that. It's super fun. I think we're about to hear a bit more about it. Maybe you hinted at. So
I'll wait till it comes up on my list to give my thoughts on it.
But it was one that, because it's such a big table presence and a bit of a setup, we would sit down and play 2 or 3 games at a time. And we just had this whole weekend where we just played Fireball Island and ate pizza and just like had a great time.
It really regresses you to like being 8 again.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that one in a sec, but I'm going to talk about my 97, which is Fort, which is from last year. It's from Leader Games, and I like a lot of their games. I like their art style. They made Root and Vast and Oath, but we haven't played Oath yet. But Fort's got this great, I love the kind of like kid, but it's like a little sketchy, but a little kind of Charlie Brown, but like punk Charlie Brown style to it. And it's pretty simple, but also with just enough complexity. And not a, like there is some kind of argument that you just kind of have to go like along one track, and that's always going to be the way that you win. And I think there's a little truth to that, but we have found some other ways to win. But even if the only way to do it is to build your fort, I still kind of like it.
I love building my macaroni fort. Yeah, it's great.
Well, you get a macaroni crown. The fort is, just for anyone concerned about safety, is made of actual lumber.
Not, I think, macaroni.
No. Right? Like pillows and like actual fort materials.
Okay, yeah, the crown itself is the only macaroni item.
The crown itself is made of macaroni, as crowns would be when you're 8. But I love the theme, love the art, so I can kind of overlook what maybe are some setbacks, but I'm not even positive that they're as big of setbacks as some folks think they are. That's my 96. Nope, 97.
96.
My number 96 is Le Havre. It's an Uwe Rosenberg game, and in this one, you're going along the ports and stopping at certain ones and taking all the resources that are there. The resources you'll use to build buildings that come out at different times, and then you can use those to combo to get stronger things and sell them for money, and the goal is to have the most money at the end.
It's that's kind of like a simple explanation of a very... it's not complex, but it's like... It's thinky for sure, and it's heavy because you got to do those. Like, okay, I'm gonna get this. Like, I'm gonna get steel, and then I'm gonna use this building, and then I'm gonna have this steel, and then I'm gonna turn this steel into stronger steel. I don't remember what you turn steel into, and then it's gonna be worth like all these points, but then I need this other building so that I could ship out my steel.
And what I really like about it is you have to be really reactive too, because if one of those piles are building up because no one's visited, so if there's a huge clay pile, and you might totally change your mind. You might think I was going to go do this thing, but he's going to take all the clay, so instead I'm going to take the clay now. Well, there's a lot of it.
And then you got to feed your people too,
yes.
So... If there's like 12 fish, it's like, I'm a fisherman now. That's what I do. And then you've got all these fish, and then you got to buy like a fish shack or whatever to turn your fish into like better fish. You like barbecue your fish.
Smoked fish or something.
Yeah, smoked fish, and then a double fish.
Yeah.
Like all Uwe games, it's feeding, but it's like, it's tighter feeding than most of them.
Yeah, but it's great. And that's my 96.
My number 96 is Fireball Island. And Fireball Island is one of the first games I fell in love with. I got it when I was like 12.
The original one then.
Yeah, the original one. And I loved it. And my family didn't really play it. I got some of my friends to play it with me. I would just sit there like little 12-year-old me with all 4 dudes, running them around the map, playing each guy individually, just to like roll the marbles down the thing. And so when the new one came out, I was really excited because it's like when you get things from when you're a kid and then you get them again as an adult and you're like, oh, it's so much smaller and it's not what I think it is. And I think that would have been it if I had the original Fireball Island, but this like souped up Fireball Island was like my memory of old Fireball Island like come to life. And it's it's not the best game. Like, it's super simple, but it's so much fun. It's just like Saturday morning cartoons in a board game form, and I love it. So that is number 96.
95.
My number 95 is Betrayal on House on the Hill. I love this game. It feels a little bit like D&D because you get different characters that have different stats, and you all start off exploring this haunted house. So you're revealing tiles and different things happen, and then at some point a haunt gets triggered. And so it can come in lots of different ways. Often one of you become a traitor and has different goals than the rest. I just love that every time you play it's different. It's not one of Shawn's favorite because he doesn't like that halfway through the game both the explorers and the traitor then have to learn a completely brand new game. And it doesn't help that usually when we play it, we're playing with someone who's pretty new to board games, and it happens to be that that person becomes the traitor. So they're totally confused about what they have to do. But I really, really enjoy with the right group. So I'll just have to play it sometimes when Shawn's not around.
Yeah, I think it's got to be the right group because it's so tricky when you get halfway through the game and it's like, now everyone learned some new rules, but you can't discuss those rules with each other. And one poor person has just got this sheet of rules, and they can't know the other person's rules. But I know a lot of people who really like this game. I'm not a big fan of hidden role games, or of I guess it's not quite a hidden role game, but it's not for me.
But you get why I like it.
Yeah. And this was one of those games that you, like, when we first met, this was one of those games where it was like, oh, do you like board games? You know, that like awkward thing on like first dates, and you're like, oh yeah, Betrayal on the House on the Hill, it's so great. So it's good for that.
Yeah.
My number 95, another new one for us, is Calico. This is one that I really have a feeling is going to move up my list.
I thought it'd be higher on your list.
Well, again, it's because we've only played it a few times so far. But I'm a big fan of tile placement games. And this one it really hits that sweet spot of, like, it's so simple to learn. There isn't that much really to the rules. Rules are like 2 pages long. But it's so thinky. It's so deep because you've got your little... you've got your like goals of like you're gonna need this many, like 2 of 3 different colors, and then 2 of 3 different patterns, and then this one's gonna need 3 and 1 and 1, and so you're trying to make all these combinations of colors and patterns, but then those are overlapping.
And then there's the button goals, and then the cat goals.
Yeah, you got to make the patterns so that you're gonna have this many together of the same color, and then you're gonna have this many of this pattern to get this cat over here, and then you're also gonna fill these goals. So you're just putting out little quilt pieces onto your thing, little quilt pieces onto your thing. But there's so much to each decision that you make, and then you've only got 2 in your hand each time.
It's a lot more to it than we were expecting, which is something we really like about that. It's this challenge that even we don't even really pay too much attention about who wins, because it's kind of like, I managed to get both objectives for this tile and both for this one, and it's kind of this personal push. I care about who wins. But it's one knock on it that I'd heard earlier was like, oh, it can really be hate drafting, but I don't know if I'm just not, like, I don't have enough in my brain to be able to care what the other person's doing, but it is so much for just what is my little quilt. There's enough going on just there.
I'm not looking at anyone else's quilt. There's no way. I'm just trying with everything I can to do this.
It looks great.
Yeah, it does. It looks so good at the end of the game too. So that's my number 95.
94.
My 94 is Mage Knight. I love the D&D world, and this is a board game D&D adventure, and it captures it so well. You don't need a DM because you're just out exploring the tiles, you're fighting monsters, you're doing all of that great stuff, and it's done super, super well. The challenge with this one is it takes a while to play. It can take 2 to 4 hours depending on which one you choose, and as a result, we don't play that much. So every time we play it, we have to relearn all of the rules. So it turns like a 2 to 3 to 4 hour experience into like a 4 to 6 hour experience, because then we have to learn how to fight again and all of that. I think if we got to the point when we really got it and we could just set up and play it, we'd play it a lot more, and this could move way up the list because it does it super well.
Yeah, and the fighting is famously complicated, and it's like it's not that complicated, but it's just so different from other games that you've got to wrap your head around it each time. And like you said, and every time we play it, at the end of it, we're like, okay, we got to play that again soon. But then it is that like 2 to 3 hour game, and that's not really. We generally would prefer to do like 3 1-hour games than 1 3-hour game, so it's just not our general focus. But it's good. It's totally like an adventure. I'm not into. I never really played D&D. It's just not one of those things I really got that into. But I'm still into kind of the general theme of this game.
Yeah, it does an adventure game very well.
My number 94 is Gingerbread House. And so Gingerbread House is it's Phil Walker Harding. We generally like his games. They hit that nice spot of being fairly easy to play,
easy to explain,
but still like really fun. And I was gonna say like but still deep, but it's honestly it's not that deep. Even it is. There's still like decisions to be made, and there's like enough decisions to be made, but it's kind of that like quick kind of hit, but you want to come back to it. Gingerbread House is great because it's, first of all, it's super like dark because you're like a witch and you're like capturing
the fairy tale creatures and
presumably to murder into your house. You're like sucking them into your house with like, what kind of gingerbread can I lure them into this trap with? By building that up. And it's got I think Clemens Franz does the art. Clemens Franz, who's like the Euroist of Euro art, and I've really got a place in my heart. I didn't at first, but I've really grown a place in my heart for his art. But it's like a little different from his usual art because it's like if Clemens Franz did Disney, which is it turns out really cool.
Yeah, it's a great one. It's one of our go-to fillers, and there are lots of different objectives too. So every time we play it, it does feel a little bit different too.
Yeah, it really hits that filler spot though of like, like I'm a little grumpy, but I just want a quick game that takes 15 minutes and kind of I'm in and out, and it's great for that. And so that's my 94.
93.
My 93 is a bit similar to your previous one in terms of being a filler game. This one's even lighter than that. It is the game Bandito. I couldn't not put this on. It's so easy and so simple. But we got it a month ago and have played like 24 games already.
One of our like top 5 most played games on BGG. Yeah,
the game might take 30 seconds if you have the right cards, or it could take
you have the wrong cards as well.
Yeah. Well, it will take you going through the whole deck if you have the wrong cards. So that will be like 5 minutes to do that. But it is so addictive because what you're doing is you're trying to trap this criminal that's in the center.
The
bandito, in fact, with having flashlights and ends on each of the tunnels that are getting built. But more and more tunnels get built, and it ends up being this whole like epic tableau of taking up an entire table. You're always having to shift things around, but sometimes you like turn 2 tunnels into 1, and then you get the flashlight at the right point. And if you never just get it, you just play again and again until you win.
Yeah, Jess makes us play again and again and again until we catch that bandito. She is not letting any banditos go free, but it is a space hog. Like,
it is.
We've got an okay sized table. I think it fills the shot, but it goes beyond the shot. It's a decent sized table, and we have to regularly kind of like, okay, we don't need this part anymore. Let's get rid of that. Let's move it to here, and then we'll just build out again from here.
Yeah. But it has a great size box. It's a pocket size box. I love a good box. It's so tiny. It's perfect. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it is. It's a really fun game. My number 93, and this was already on your list, so in the same section at least, we got 2 in the same section so far, is Architects of the West Kingdom. And basically all the same things you said about it. We like the series. We like Shem Phillips's games just in general. I think he makes some great games. I know the Micho's art isn't for everyone, but it's for me. I like it a lot. And it's a cool looking game, and I definitely get the sense, and I almost wish I didn't know that everyone says it doesn't work for 2, because I wonder if that wasn't in my head,
if I would know
still.
that, yeah.
I think you would recognize it though. So it is better with more, but
it's great.
It's still,
it says, yeah,
and we've only played it 2, so we don't know what we're missing, and it works well, and it's fun to build, and it's fun to throw each other in jail. I don't think we talked about that when we were talking about it with you, but it does have that real push pull of like, when am I gonna like put people in jail? When am I gonna break them out of jail?
When am I going to use one of my actions to put you in jail? Because I could use my actions for other things, but you've got a lot of people there, so it's time to send them all to jail.
Yeah, and it's kind of that push your luck of like you're putting out more people on one space, because each time you do, you get more resources. You get like 1 of that thing, then you put out 2, and you get 2 because you got 2 people, and then you can build and build and build and build, like even exponentially, I think, on some of them. So you're really pushing that, but then it's the other person just like, now you're in jail. Now everyone's in jail. And that is really fun. So that is my 93.
My 92 game is the game Zulkin. So it's part of the T series. So it's part of that kind of Mayan, Incan, or Aztec era. And it's great. This one's super interesting because it's these intricate wheels that move after each round. And so you have to put out your workers, and you get to put them out or take them off, and then you have to think about how many turns you want them to stay on that spoke before you take them off, because the longer they stay on it, usually the greater the resource you can get from it. And so that decision making is very complicated. You're thinking sometimes 5-6 turns ahead in terms of when you want to use those workers, and then there's different temples that you're climbing up as well. So it's very thinky. It's an interesting worker placement that I hadn't seen done before in terms of place it, move it, and then sometimes you have to take it off too early because you need a worker.
Yeah, the gears is it looks cool on the table, and it is a really cool mechanic how it's like literally interconnected.
Yeah.
So each time everyone's moving, and like you say, it is tricky because it's you have to either put on or take off. Yeah. So if everyone's on,
you have to take someone off.
You have to take, and maybe you don't want to take them off, or maybe you wish you had someone to put on.
Yep.
And then you've got like some that are getting you more people, and then you've also got to feed people, so you got to make sure you've got that.
So the more people you have, the more food you have to give. I also really like that Shawn loves the crystal skulls, so he always takes that strategy. And it's not necessarily the winning strategy. So, but he's going to do that. So
they're so cool. You got to get those crystal skulls. That's how you win Zulkin.
No, he usually loses.
It's weird because I do usually lose, but I stand behind my plan because the crystal skulls are awesome. And I will always get all of them. That is my plan, and I think it's a good one.
It makes it a bit easier for me because I know exactly what he's going to be doing.
Yeah, I got to get them crystal skulls. 92. My 92 is it's a fun, quick one. Potion Explosion. And Potion Explosion is I like games that have kind of a physical, like touch. What's the word I'm looking for? Tactile. That have a tactile element. Yeah, and this has got these gray marbles, and they make like a nice clack together. And so you got to take marbles, and then when they clack together, so you take one. So like if this is blue, then they clack together. Then if these are both reds, you get to take those, and then these clack together. And if those match, you get to take those. And then you got to put them into your potions, and then you like drink your. And we always drink the like glug 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 glug. And then the potions will give you powers that help you combo. So it's super fun, and it looks like a kid's game. And honestly, it is kind of a kid's game, but it's like a fun kid's game.
Yeah.
That just plays quick.
And just that combo, if you get like a big group that smashes together and then you take those and another one does, it's super satisfying.
And it's just the clacking, and it's like loud when you throw them back into the thing, and they're like firm, like they're legit marbles.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
91.
My 91, we've already spoken about, is Gingerbread House. I love Ethel Walker Harding games. It's a great filler. I love getting the fairy tale creatures. And I do think it is one that seems really simple, but I feel like our scores are way higher now than when we started. So even though it's easy to explain, it's relatively straightforward to do, there is strategy involved because we've gotten way better. Before we were only trapping like a handful of fairy tale creatures.
Now we're murdering those fairy tale creatures.
Now it's like a decent stack that we end up with. So we have gotten better. So it does have that going for it.
Yeah, I think that is probably fair. Yeah, it's a fun, like we said earlier, it's a fun game. And I think not enough people know about it too. I think it kind of fell off a little bit just because I think the box maybe looks a bit like Christmassy or something.
Well, and with Gingerbread House, it always gets, I think, a bit of a resurgence and a bit of a like shout out around that time because people are like,
maybe, but it is not a Christmas game. It just has like a green box with a gingerbread man on it.
Yep.
Amongst other things. My number 91 is Quest for El Dorado, and this is, I think, a real quirky racing game. We were really searching for what is a good 2-player racing game, and I think I got a feeling we're both going to have at least one that's the same one further down the list, maybe a couple. But this was really one of the winners of when we were doing that search for a great 2-player racing game, and it's great because it's card-based. Neither of us love dice-based mechanics, especially for something like movement or racing. So it's card-based in your deck building, and you also can build what the kind of track's looking like. And you're meant to be kind of Indiana Joneses on this like quest for whatever it is at the end of the quest. And you got to go through this different like grass and water and mountains and whatever.
Only certain cards let you go through those particular types of terrain, so you really have to build your deck that lets you do that.
Yeah, you need different kinds of guides for it. And it works well with 2 as well because each one has 2 explorers, so you gotta kind of split your cards between the 2. And actually I really like, we haven't played it with more again, we tend to play with 2, but I really like that using two explorers a lot. And I don't know if we were just playing with one explorer, I feel like I'd miss that other one.
I feel like I would get stuck because I'd like, if I only have one type of movement in my hand of grass, at least I've got 2 possible ones that it might work for. Whereas if I had just one, it might be like they're on water, so, well, I can't use these.
Yeah, it's great because you always feel like your cards can kind of do something, and it is fun to build that deck. So that's my number 1. Not my number 1. Still 90 away from that. My number 91, Quest for El Dorado.
Thank you so much for watching. That was our games 100 to 91. Please do stay tuned for the rest of our series where we'll continue counting down our games. We would love for you to play along as well. So in the comment section, feel free to list your top 100 games. It could be the same numbers here for us too.
Good, yeah. You could just do 10 to 91 like us, or you just go rogue and do all 100 right now. You could do it in 5s. Although we'll only get to your 50 by the time we get to our 1, but you can do what you want. We would just love for everyone to take part, and please do add your lists in there, and also please do like and subscribe and leave a comment if it's a nice comment. All of that stuff really helps out the channel, and again, thank you all for getting us to 1,000 subscribers and kind of finally pushing ourselves to put our faces on the camera. I hope that you had fun.
We'll see you for the next one.